Well, hello, Crashing In Podcast, and today I am joined by Holy Fuck. But before that, I just want to say I hope you all enjoyed the last episode with Low Red Moon, a gothic rock psyche band, and they're really cool, really nice guys, and on that video was recorded footage of their gig and more. So go check it out if you like the sound of that. And been joined by so many more great guests, such as the Stone Foundation, Silver Lines, Al Doom and the Far Reeds, Izzy Grace, Maccabee, and more. Getting so many great guests in, and quite well-known bigger guests as well. And this is a big one for me. Holy fuck, like, very well-known band. They're an electronic dance indie alternative band, if you don't know. They're really good. They're on Spotify, and absolutely amazing band. I saw them play after this interview, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad I got these on. These are the coolest band. They got like a bit of a Kraftwerk vibe, so it's a bit different to like the average bands I usually interview. I guess like most bands I interview are guitar bands, whereas these are more on the electronic side of things. So like, it's really cool. I'm trying to get to interview bands with a different vibe to the average guitar band, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. But yes, I'm sure once you listen to this will make you want to listen to the band. They've been played on so many great radio stations, such as Radio 6, and that's pretty much how like I discovered them. And well, they were on the radio and that, and on their socials, they're more known for Holy F, and I guess that's because like fuck isn't a word you're supposed to be saying on radio and stuff like that. So that's what caught my eye a little bit for the band, like the fact that they were called Holy F, then found out that they were called Holy Fuck. So I hope you all enjoy, and here's live footage. Crashing In podcast, and today I'm with the band Holy Fuck. Hello, how are you?
We're good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, can't complain.
Do you want to say your names for the people that don't know, and what you play in the band as well?
Yeah, I'm Brian Borchard, and I used to play one table of crap, and now I have two. And mixed into that table of crap is some just a mixer and a slide guitar and a microphone and things, a couple compressors and stuff. And
Yeah, I'm Graham, and Graham Walsh, and I have one table of crap, sampler, a bunch of guitar pedals, a mixer, a synth, and a sampler.
Yeah. So let's talk about the tour. You're doing the tour in the UK, the US, Europe, and Canada as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how's it been so far?
No, it's been really good. I like the way you describe it. It really sounds like a big world tour, but it's broken down into 3 chunks, and it takes us from now until the end of the summer. But this is the first of the first chunk, which is we're halfway through the UK stuff. Yeah, I think it's been really good because for a band like us, like so many other people that have been off for over 2 years, we're getting into these rooms that feel like the right size, the right vibe in the audience.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like we have to overreach or try to fill these big stadiums or something. We're just playing really cool, comfortable spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They kind of went over this idea of everyone, the music has been starting back up again, and are people excited? And then so far, it seems to be that the case.
Yeah.
People are excited to come out and see shows and dance and stuff.
Definitely.
We're also like 5 shows in now, or 4 shows in now, so it's early.
Yeah.
So it could all go to hell at some point.
Oh my god, yeah.
Don't think like that. But what venues have you done so far in the UK?
We did a broadcast in Glasgow. We did Bodega and oh my god, I gotta match the place to the name. Cobalt in Newcastle. Which one?
Yes,
Bodega
in Manchester.
And where would you say in the UK, is your best crowd?
London, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it depends because, size-wise, that's kind of the most important thing. You want to play in front of most people, and that would obviously be London. But just going back to what I was saying about, you're in a smaller city and the room gets smaller, and you have just as many, proportionally speaking, you have fans who are just as enthusiastic. It still feels like a great crowd, and we've always been lucky that.
Like Brighton would be a good place too, because maybe it wouldn't be as big a crowd as London, but you're in maybe a more nice room, and the energy is awesome. Last time we played there in the round, we were on the floor and everyone's around us.
That's right.
That's cool.
It was a really good time.
But let's talk about your latest single that's recently came out. It's the 14th of April.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about that? Is that leading up to something like an album, or is that just a random single? Or
I'd say random single. At the end of our pandemic lockdown jams.
Yeah.
We kind of had intention of making some music, sending files back and forth, but it's not really the nature of this band. We started right from the very beginning with the intention of being very much a collaborative thing. And the energy that came to each recording and what made each song different had so much to do with who we had playing with us. And then, obviously we've been one steady lineup now for 15 years, but we still do that. We still always get together and play together. And so during a lockdown we had to do more file sharing with different results. Some stuff turned out almost more pop because, suddenly it's more produced in a way, because it's not like live off the floor where you're getting all the cacophony of everything. And then that last track was kind of more gnarly because it was us taking those sounds and just fucking with it, It's like we can't be together in the same room, but let's take something that Matt Schultz played on the drum kit and run it through all these things instead of using a drum machine that we're kind of manipulating. Let's just mess with those drums themselves, and then that'll be the basis of the song. So it was all part of an experiment of what we can do when we're apart. And I'm grateful to say that we probably won't have to do that kind of experimentation much longer. Because I think it's kind of more fun when we make records together. And to answer your question, it's not a prelude to anything.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
We've got to hope so.
Yeah, it was more of like our management saying, "Hey, we need to sell some tickets. Can you do something and have it done by the end of the week?"
Plus, it was a great song.
It's a cool track.
Song. Yeah, it's nice to have,
yeah.
like, you know, like we were even also trying to embrace the idea of the new method of like not having to rely on releasing full albums all the time. That's what we'll be doing. You know, we like making records and touring them and stuff like that, but also with streaming and self-releasing music now, it's just like it's just drop tracks, release songs. So kind of embracing more of that mentality too, and getting it out there. It's nice to be able to do that.
But what was it like being back to normality, like after all that pandemic and that, and recording together and stuff like that?
Well, we rehearsed for a week before for this tour last month, and I felt like it was like the kids were getting we went to a clubhouse basically and got together. And it was, I mean, as fun as it was to jam and rehearse, it was also fun to just we saw each other for the first time in 2 years and hung out and just chatted and talked about music and drank beers and things. So it was good.
Yeah, that's always been kind of the band. We've always, we live together, and then we scatter to our various cities, and we even have one band member in the States, and So it's like we've gotten really familiar with being together, and so for so long we weren't together. So I think that was the most important thing of getting back together and being able to play music. The music is obviously the important thing, but being together for our band, I think, is what makes it happen.
Yeah, and now we're four shows in, and this tour, it feels good. We're hitting our stride.
Yeah. Better to be back doing what you love. Yeah. So let's talk about like how, and from like the beginning of the band, like how did you all meet and that, like, and how did you what motivated you to form a band together?
Yeah. Well, Brian started this whole thing. He named it and you started the whole thing, and I started
management already.
I started playing guitar with Brian in his solo stuff, and then from there and I was also. I think we bonded, the two of us, on like playing. We both played with SK1 Casios and playing vinyl records back at the wrong speed, and playing with using toys and stuff. So it was kind of a cool fit. Like I started jamming with Brian. I remember the first jam we had with Casios and stuff like that. Basically taking my pedal board off, my guitar pedal board off the floor, putting it on a keyboard stand instead of running a guitar through it. I was running a SK1 through it. And then from there we just kind of added members. I don't know. We had rotating drummers for a while, and then Matt Schultz, who was an acquaintance at first through music, and he was a great drummer, so we asked him to fill in on some things. And Matt McQuaid, our bass player, was a mutual friend from Toronto. He's from
I think the intention too was like. There was a bit of a concept behind it, because like Graham's saying, we were already playing in other projects as well as projects even together. So I think that was kind of one of the fun things about this band, was that it started with like a mission statement or almost a concept, where that might sound academic and boring or in a different setting, but for us, we were just really excited about trying something. And what we wanted to do was like, if you go back to that era, there was suddenly a real kind of plethora of technology available for everyone in their bedrooms to make music. So we kind of wanted to take the piss out of it. So it was almost always sarcastic right from the beginning of even the name. It's like let's go up on stage with total crap, because right now you can go into any Guitar Center or your music store, name brand music store, and get all these high-tech pedals. You can sit down on your computer, you can do all this stuff. So let's try to kind of take it in the opposite direction, where we really limit ourselves, we restrict what we can do, we take out all the variables, we even restrict ourselves because we're going to be playing things that we don't even know how to play. I mean, I'm a guitar player, so I put the guitar away and I was like, okay, I gotta play something different. So it was neat because it kind of had like there was already an intention.
Yeah.
And I think everyone who came and played with us and ultimately ended up being the band was excited about it. if they weren't excited about those ideas, it wasn't going to work. So everyone kind of showed up really excited to try to experiment. It was always designed to be an experimentation with restrictions, limitations, and noise, and all that stuff.
But it's good that you experiment, because not many bands are like that these days. Like some bands just stick to like a 4-guitar type bass band, and they don't really like experiment with their sound. So it's nice to like meet a band that actually like experiment and make new sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's definitely formulas to follow, but the experimentation definitely allowed us to like find our own voice and find our own language to make music with, and filter ideas through that, and still be sincere and make it our own thing. It was a great, and it was a great way to like, start using junk and develop this system to do things with, and then even from the get-go, like seeing this where it could go, and beyond that with now there's like samplers involved and things like that for various. We've included for various reasons, but using that, but still maintaining the idea at its core of like experimentation and improvisation and spontaneity and all that chaos, controlled chaos.
Yeah, that's what we need in this series. I feel like if you experiment on that, I feel like I puts you more out there compared to like most bands in many ways. But let's talk about your name, Holy Fuck. What came up with that? Who came up with that name and why that name? I love it, I do.
If I was playing as Holy Fuck right now in its very first incarnation right now downstairs and you walked into the room, immediately you'd probably understand the sarcasm.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't big and boisterous. It was like we were saying, like stepping up on stage with this Casio that I bought at a pawn shop, like with some other things, imitating these bigger bigger DJs or bigger electronic music, like giants. And there I was doing it in this really rinky-dinky way. I think it was meant to just be totally sarcastic, like holy fuck, but it was just stupid. It would be like calling it like I don't know, super wicked awesome or just something like that. And then it didn't take long before we were a full band. And suddenly the meaning almost changes because now it is like, holy fuck, it's so loud and so big. It became all the things I thought were inherently sarcastic in the name. So maybe some of that is lost, and instead we just end up with this really boisterous name.
It's fitting because people too get some people certainly get offended. Like our music can be abrasive and and maybe really uptight. People get offended by it, but at its core and its meaning, it's fun and positive, and like our music too. Like it's just supposed to be joyful.
Yeah. That's what I like about the name. To me, it's a very strong name, and it's like one of those names. Like if you don't know you, like it's one of those names that catches your eye because it says fuck in the name, and not many bands have that now, and I think that's quite genius in many ways.
Cool.
That's what,
I'll take it.
Yeah. So that's why I think that's how I discovered you, really, just purely because of your name.
Yeah.
It's funny how things like that work, and listening to BBC Radio 6 as well.
Yeah, sure. I think it helped us in England coming over here because this is kind of where we had some of our better first opportunities.
Yeah.
And I know that at the time, the name itself was part of it. Like the name was something that, like you said, it caught people's attention, and then the fact that the music sounded very different. It was all about it grabbing people's. It was about like an immediate reaction, like grabbing people's attention. And luckily, however many years later, we still have some of those people's attention.
It's like names like the Sex Pistols and stuff like that. It's like because it's like quite inappropriate names and stuff like that. It's like what we need at the moment because too many bands are probably too shy to be like, oh, let's rebel against that and this and that. So let's talk about what you sound from your debut album to the Deleter album. How would you say it developed over the years?
Well, I mean, it was. I was thinking about this not too long ago, but it was sort of like for me personally, I saw first starting to do this and using restrictive instruments and using this system of creation that's kind of like it restricts you in a way but opens your mind in other ways. And I saw this like just so much potential in this method of creation, and like I likened it to the job I had before in the band where I was doing graphic design, and I used to be like a visually creative, and I would make collages using other things, making posters out of clip art and things like that. And then but like I remember a person I worked with was like, you know, you can like take your own photos, like if you're gonna cut out this picture of a tree and put it on your thing, like just take a picture of your own tree and put it in. And sort of the same thing, like we're using like canned Casio beats and things like that to make this and repurpose them into making these new things. And then the evolution was like, well, we could make our own, make our own beats. Yeah. So we started doing that. You know, that's sort of where I see the evolution of it. Like this, the system was in place to create and to have a voice, and then therefore like now it's been like filtering things through it, and that's where how now there's a sampler involved in things. I mean, it serves a purpose. The sampler as like a reliable piece of equipment that we can play stuff back on because the toy keyboards would break and stuff. But now it's also like it's opened that whole world up to like anything can go through this thing, and it's really a wonderful. So that's sort of like a good arc of where we've been.
It's almost like those. It's almost like those kind of like teachings where there's a long training period, and then you're free to go be wise in the world. Our kind of long training, was exactly as Graham describes, like being so restricted and trying to be creative in other ways. And we did that long enough that now we're ready to go make normal music with contemporary gear, but we're still held on to those the training or whatever it was we learned through that process is still there. So I think it still sounds like holy fuck. And maybe the next record will just play straight up rock music or something. Just guitars. But even in that setting, I'd like to think that it would still somehow, the years of training, the real years of those resources mentally, I think would still inform something that still would sound like this band does. So it's interesting.
So still on the development to sound type question, but how was that with like live music as well? Like, how would you say you developed from that first ever gig to like now?
Yeah, I mean, it used. I have a lot less energy than I used to. I was thinking about that last night. It's like, I'm like, I want to give like the best show ever, but it's like I was so full of natural energy.
Well, you look back at early shows and we're like, you're jumping around and everything. That I mean, it's I guess everything like anything you work on, over time everything gets refined and you refine everything. And like our early shows, when you go back to the very beginnings, we would even have set lists, and they would just be going out, which was an amazing like kind of tightrope walk. You just go out and there'd be no set list. And then as things started to get more serious and like we started like getting asked to play bigger shows, I was like, oh, maybe we should have some sort of framework there. So then the sort of set list, and now it's like again, we're still trying to maintain. That's I think the goal is maintain some of that energy of the early stuff, but keep it on track. Like we have song set lists now, all that stuff. But
it's a lot less chaotic. But I think back in the days of the chaos, which is something I think we all miss, and sometimes we say like, oh, let's just do something like we used to. Back then, there was more of a chance that every 10th show or something would really suck, and we may not even notice it because we were so jazzed about what we were doing. But looking back, we're like, we really put ourselves out there, and I was even thinking about that tonight because the stages are only so big by the time we get everything up there, and you have to make room for the opening act. And I was thinking about some shows we did. I think we did a show in Leeds on our first ever tour where we just had to set up in the most ridiculous way. But back then we didn't even have a way of setting up. Like we didn't have traditional spots like I set up here. Like we were just like we relished the fact that every night was going to be different, and we set up in this really weird way, and even just that made it a really like difficult show. We had a hard time connecting. It's funny, we wouldn't make those. We probably wouldn't be so cavalier about it now. I don't think all of that chaos was good. Some of it was It was all a learning experience.
Yeah. There would be the random moment, the odd moment where it'd be just euphoric and it'd be amazing, and then those are amazing moments. But then you run the risk of the train going completely off the tracks.
But there was a question I was meant to ask at the time. Slipped my mind for some reason when I was talking about singles and that. And you recently, because we're near to the end and stuff like that. But you recently had a single that came out on Bandcamp, and it was called Earth. It was an Earth Percent thing. You want to talk a bit about that, like as it was recent?
Yeah. I mean, we got asked to do this thing, Earth Percent, which we understand to be something that Brian, is curating and for Earth Day, and it's a charitable thing. So I mean, immediately you check off all the boxes. There's not really much to say about that other than what's obvious. Like, I think we've had so many other distractions in the last 2 years. I think we need to keep focus on what's most important. Is the fact that the world's going to hell. So let's save time in our brains to think about the planet. And then the track itself, it's one that we recorded like a live soundboard kind of recording of a recent tour, and you suggested it, and I think I'm glad you did, or somebody did. I kind of forgot that we had it. So
it was recorded live in Oakland, California, and it's just one of those things you have lying around, and it was seemed like a good venue to put it out, for sure. And just of course, like the charity is great to support.
That was a good one. It had Alexis Taylor sings on it, which worked well, all things considered, because he did his collaboration with us on the album. And in general, there's a lot of collaborations out there right now. I mean, that's predominantly what's filling up our streaming services. And I think what's particularly special about it for us is because we were opening for Hot Chip, we got to have him come up and sing with us every night. So I think, I'd like to think that'll happen again, but you never know. That's a moment in time. We don't know for sure if we'll cross paths and be able to do that performance again. And just like on this tour, we have Lucia Pichetti, who was a guest on a recent single we put out. She has been and will be performing that song every night with us. And it gets so familiar to us, but then to archive it and look back on it, it really reminds us that it was a special moment. I think that's what I like also about that particular tune.
It's a good snapshot of that moment. That's where we did.
So we're getting near to the end, and is there anything else we haven't gone through you'd like to add?
Oh, jeez. Thanks for taking the time.
That's great. Thanks for getting back to me, because I didn't actually think you'd get back to me.
Well, it's one of those things. I think this is our first, dipping our toes into the pool of humanity. I mean, I'm coming from living in my quite isolated rural town in the east coast of Canada, where even just being out amongst people again. Like already getting on an airplane to start this tour was a big step back out to the real world.
Definitely,
And I say that just because, in the past, we would do more things like this. So I was actually grateful that you reached out to us, because I think, in the past when we were on tour, we did interact more, meet more people, and do things.
That's great.
And it does feel right now like we're coming out of this isolation.
Some bands don't actually get back to you as well, especially some of the bigger bands as well. So it's nice that we get to meet you and chat as well. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And also, my last question I always ask all the bands, and they always struggle on this one. Have you got anything inspiring to say to the listeners?
Yep. Well, my thing that I've been recently is just don't be afraid. This is going to sound so cheesy, but all the cheesy advice is so true.
It's true.
But just I don't know. My mantra lately has been just do shit, just do it, just do things, and don't think about it. And that's kind of, especially over the last 2 years, when you kind of reflect on how your life. I've been trying to do more of that and just do things and don't worry too hard about the outcome and all that. And that's the best thing. All you can do is just do things, make things, try things.
Yeah.
All that. That's my. And but it seems so basic, but it's hard.
Oh,
it's really hard. It's one of
advice
those
as
pieces of
well.
advice that's so easy to tell and to talk about, but also really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
So that's my cheeseball inspiring thing for you.
Yeah.
Like Nike said, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
I know, I like it, and in fact, I also need to be the one hearing it. So, I'll leave it at that because for sure, like I can relate to everything Graham says. Like, especially in the last 2 years, like getting like kind of beaten down over and over, you can get kind of overwhelmed. It's like you get overwhelmed with the nothing. You get overwhelmed with the false starts and the loose threads that never get picked up. And
well, you can get down with the nothings and the rejections but it's like you gotta keep in at it. Keep the darkness till it bleeds daylight. Right.
that's cool.
Thank you for joining me once again, and I hope you all have a great gig and a great tour as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Take care, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you.
So a bit. Take care.
that is a musician I highly recommend giving a listen, and potential future guest. And she's from Madrid, and she's bloody amazing. Like, I saw her, there weren't many people at the support, and I'm glad I caught her and play, because like I thought, oh, I like this. I'm trying to find something different, and got talking to her through Instagram, and we are arranging a date to do an interview. And it's nice to get in contact with bands and singer-songwriters or whatever, that are from other parts of the world, because hopefully that kind of gets the podcast out there. But yeah, that was Holy Fuck. Hope you all enjoyed the podcast. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Got future guests coming up, and we've got Glenn Sanking at the Sankings coming up, talking about his new anthology albums. There's like 3 of them, so yeah, some cool news on that. And also we've got Sean Gamble Walsh and the Plagiarist joining me again. Same with the Assist. It's a bit like a reunion tour for Crashing In Podcast. And we've got a few other bands up my sleeve. A few bands. And I kind of forgot who they were now. Sorry about that. Very unprofessional. But they're the bands I know that are coming on very soon. So yeah, I'm trying to think. But yes, hope you all enjoy the podcast. Listen to the other ones if you can, and take care.